the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Going through them, and I think they got a lot of them really well. Like a lot of them, I've got a lot of, almost all of them I agree with, but I think the one that I would have to go with, just obvious reasons, is the Los Angeles Chargers. They have them at 8.5 wins.
Ooh.
And on paper, I could see maybe how you would say that, but I come from the school of Jim Harbaugh, and when I say he had 11? No, it was 12 wins or something like that with Alex Smith in his first year.
I think they went 12-4 that year.
So, Alex Smith played great, but he is not Justin Herbert. And Justin Herbert is they might have had a better defense.
I was going to say, Justin Herbert doesn't have Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis and a lot of great players.
Well, neither did Jim Harbaugh. He had Takeo Spikes and
was it Spikes there at the time?
Patrick Willis, and Navarro Bowman was he didn't play, I think, until the second year. Really, they drafted him, but they played Takeo Spikes. Jim Harbaugh loves playing veterans, and he will always play veterans over rookies, almost to a fault. But so 8.5 wins. The Broncos are going to be a bit of a dumpster fire. The Chiefs are going to do what the Chiefs did. So I definitely see 10 wins being very plausible for the Chargers. Just because
I'm surprised. Hold on, you went dumpster fire for the Broncos, but not the Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to be the worst team in the AFC this year.
I think 100%. I'm just saying, I don't like the only team I'm saying is the Chiefs.
Devontae Adams traded by week 9. Chase Thomas.
Do you think it's going to take that long?
I don't know. It depends on what it's so hard with different guys. Are we sure Devontae's not just hanging out?
He's I've done enough. Just enjoying living in Vegas.
Are we sure Devontae really cares?
He was complaining about not getting targets.
In the Lions game, he was visibly pissed off last year.
In the game, but then they benched Jimmy G and fired Josh McDaniels, and he was all of a sudden happy.
But my point is he is very willing to complain, and they're going to be very bad next year.
Yeah,
they're going to be aggressively bad. Their coaching staff is one of the weirdest NFL coaching staffs I've ever seen in history. I have no idea what the Raiders are doing except for just being good at being the Raiders.
And they just hired Tom Telesco.
They hired
their GM randomly late in the process.
As their OC. Those are two horrible hires.
Everything about it just the Raiders are going to be awful.
He is going to pad those stats.
Marvin Lewis,
he's gonna get all the stats.
By the way, let's just so we're all aware, Rich Scangarello, who I won't even jokingly say 49ers legend, is one of the worst coaches, period.
He's
at the college level. Yeah, at the college level.
He was really bad with
as a coordinator.
Will Levis at UK 2 years ago.
After being absolutely god awful with the 49ers, the Raiders are going to be god tier terrible.
The Chargers is a good over though. You never want to say that going into any given year, but Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers and Herbert at 8.5 is a good over.
Bro. I've drank the Chargers Kool-Aid for 3 consecutive years now, and they just consistently.
Well, it's not Jim Harbaugh though. Jim Harbaugh.
I will say it is an immovable force and an unstoppable object.
I hear you. I hear you there, and I was excited about the Harbaugh hire, and then he hired Greg Roman. And that makes
that's always good. He's won 13, 11, 12 games with Greg Roman.
No, Chase. I will say this. The Greg Roman stick is so old at this point.
He got there and immediately hired his buddy, and that completely turned me off to them.
I don't know.
He hired Jesse Minter, who was also his buddy.
By the way,
okay, Jesse Minter was very successful coaching Michigan's defense. Greg Roman has failed at the last 2 spots that he's been at.
I don't know if he's failed.
Who's the Ravens running back that's just coming off injury?
Gus Edwards.
Yeah.
No,
J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins.
Are they going to hire? Or are they going to sign J.K. Dobbins now?
No. What they're going to do is they already signed Gus Edwards. They're going to draft. I don't think it's going to be Braylon Allen, but you know what? I'll pop Chase. They're going to draft Jalen Wright. I think
let's go.
Jalen Wright and Gus Edwards would be a very cool one to
Thunder and Lightning.
Thunder and Lightning. I think. Look, Greg Roman is not a great passing game designer, but he can draw the hell out of some run game.
Well,
also, why pass the ball when you have Justin Herbert?
Remember, and I say this now, the starting tight end for the Chargers will have better stats than George Kittle next year. It doesn't matter who he is.
Oh, it's going to be great when it's Brock Bowers.
Whoever the number one tight end on the Chargers is will have more targets than George Kittle. Guaranteed.
I've already fully expressed my feelings about the Chargers in a column for USA Today, and I said basically the same thing I'm about to say now. And like, I love the Jim Harbaugh hire. He hired Greg Roman, who, again, if this was a situation where the Chargers had a mobile quarterback and it made sense, then sure, do the stuff that you did with Kaepernick, do the stuff you did with Lamar. You probably have some success with it for a couple years. What you have Justin Herbert, who is one of the 5 best throwers of the football in the NFL, and you bring in a run-first offensive coordinator for whatever reason, and right now doesn't have a number one receiver on his roster. Like Josh Palmer is his number one receiver with Quentin Johnson. I don't know, man. I don't. There's still a ton to fix on the defensive side, but I don't believe in the Chargers whatsoever. I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid again, man. Not doing it.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a little bit, and I can't believe I'm defending Greg Roman here. But the run design is going to be great. I think the biggest thing with Justin Herbert on the Chargers has been we need to get Justin Herbert some help. The best way to help a quarterback is a run game. You help him with a run game, especially when you can get into bigger personnel and allow Justin Herbert not to stop being a pinpoint precision throw underneath, which he can do, but it's also let Justin Herbert throw the ball downfield. You let him throw downfield off of play action. Let him get vertical. I think if they stay at 5, they're going to draft a receiver. I think it's just too obvious, especially if Minnesota trades up to 4 to take JJ McCarthy, and
then Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to fall in their lap.
Then you just write that in Sharpie and you forget about it. And then we have Justin Herbert throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr.
and all as well.
And everybody's just an idiot for letting that happen. So I think my bigger problem for the Chargers right now is they need multiple corners. Mm-hmm. They need a lot of help in the secondary. And I still don't believe in the linebackers. We'll see what happens. I mean, they could trade with Minnesota at 5. They could trade with them at 11 and trade back and get the 11th and 23rd pick.
That's a good question though. And I mean, maybe we can look at this down the road as we get into draft season deeply, but like, I'm really excited to see who Jim Harbaugh starts taking at linebacker, because again, those were fun times. I think they know, he knows how to look at that position. The only thing I want to say about this Jim Harbaugh experience coming from a man with so much PTSD, when you think about like the run game, which we know Greg Roman knows how to scheme for, he did have prime Frank Gore. And then he did go and get Lamar Jackson, arguably maybe the best thing a running back has ever had as a quarterback ever. One of the best running people, runners in the game of football. So Justin Herbert is not Lamar Jackson, and Gus Edwards is absolutely not Frank Gore. So I don't know if we can just assume that Greg Roman is going to recreate the magic that he always has in years past.
And if we really want to go deep pull, he was the offensive coordinator for Andrew Luck at Stanford, and Andrew Luck wasn't he wasn't a dynamic dual threat.
Well, Andrew Luck was athletic. He ran.
So was Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert doesn't get billed as athletic because he's 6'6", but he can move. It's not like I'm telling him to run design QB like action for like 15 times a game, but you weren't doing that with Andrew Luck.
Well, who was Stanford's running back then? Wasn't it Toby Gerhart?
There was a Stephon.
It wasn't
Taylor,
Bryce Love, right?
Toby Gerhart. No, Bryce Love was. I think Bryce Love
was post McCaffrey.
It was post McCaffrey.
Was he really?
I think it was Gerhart. I think it was Gerhart for sure.
Let me see. I think that was.
I think it was
the
Gerhart.
2011 Stanford team.
Yeah, that was just
Toby
full of white guys on offense, because it was Lucky quarterback Gerhart and like Kobe Fleener at tight end.
Oh,
Kobe Fleener.
What a guy! Stephon Taylor, Tyler Gaffney.
I remember
Jeremy
Stephon Taylor.
Stewart, but not. I don't think that was
maybe Gerhardt.
No, not 2011. It was 2010.
You're talking about 2010 Stanford?
Yeah, because 2011 is the season the Niners.
Oh, that was Shaw. Yeah. So 2010 Stanford. That was Stephon Taylor, Tyler Gaffney. Then they had Doug Baldwin at receiver.
Yes.
Maybe
Chris Owusu, Griff Whalen.
Griff Whalen.
Oh my God.
We're naming guys right now. Kobe Fleener.
Kobe Fleener is a guy.
Griff Whalen was Andrew Luck's version of who was it? Was it Kumro for Aaron Rodgers? Was that the guy he always wanted around?
Jake Kumro?
Yeah, wasn't that him?
I was gonna say he was Andrew Luck's Austin Collie.
Austin Collie.
Austin Collie was good, man. If he could stay healthy, Austin Collie was.
Well, there's a reason why he couldn't stay healthy. That's because Peyton Manning was leading him into the middle of two safeties every single play.
But they were so good together. Austin Collie.
Hey, wait, was 49ers legend Levine Toilolo on that 2010 Stanford team?
No, I think that was Shaw. That was a Shaw.
He was so bad in Atlanta. He was one of the most depressing signings where everyone was like, because he was post Tony G, and people were like, "Here's our Tony G replacement," and it was like, "This man is absolutely not Tony G replacement. This is quite bad and quite awful." It was like it was the Algie Crumpler had a backup way back in the day in Atlanta, and I forgot who it was. Where people were like, "He's just gonna go." Was it Graziano? I think
I feel like I should know that playing with the Michael Vick.
Who was the other tight end in that?
Yeah. It was. They had a backup with Algie Crumpler was a dude too. By the way, he was a Madden legend. Algie Crumpler was always.
I'm looking it up because that's good. It was a white dude, wasn't it?
No, it was also had David DeCastro, legend.
David DeCastro,
Steelers legend, David DeCastro.
Steelers legend. Trent Murphy. I think they call him like the Yeti or something. Shane Scove, who had like the greatest college linebacker aesthetic ever. Shane
Scove, also 49ers legend.
49ers legend Shane Scove had the eye black, like the triangle that came all the way down his face like that. He was insane. He had the big face mask too, so you could only see his eyes. It was pretty badass.
Darnell Sanders was his name, by the way.
Oh, Levine Toilolo was on that team, but he was playing linebacker.
Oh, wait. But so the year before he was on as a tight end.
No, the 2011 team.
No, 2010.
The 2010, he was a sophomore linebacker. 2009, he got there as a freshman, and it looks like.
When was he playing tight end? He played tight end on that team, I thought.
No, he played a tight end in 2011, I think. Let's see.
This is such a, by the way, shout out to anyone. Shout out to anyone listening.
People love this. What do you mean? People like everyone.
2000.
Dudes love naming guys.
If there was a podcast of just an hour where we just named random athletes and just went on tangents, it would get 1 million listeners a week.
Hold on, wait. Hold on. The 2009 recruiting class for Stanford was ranked 15th in the nation and 20th by Scout.com, and included Levine Toilolo, tight end, San Diego, California, hometown.
Yeah. But then he got moved to linebacker, and he was only used in a rare occasion. Like his senior year at Stanford in 2012, he played in 14 games. He's listed as a linebacker. He had 24 catches for 393 yards and 4 touchdowns.
I'm surprised he was a linebacker. He's so slow. That man was so slow in Atlanta.
Well, they played a 3-4, so he was
because this man didn't he could not move.
He was an edge player, and this was also like during the era when we actually had football players on the field, and edge players were huge and could defend the run. So that's what Levine Toilolo was doing, So he was a run defender and run blocker, and then was 6'8". So you just throw it to the 6'8" guy.
I love it. Final thing here before we wrap up tonight. Bailey's best. Jarrett Bailey, your favorite first round mock draft pick you've seen to this point. And what I mean by that, where you see the player and you see the team that they have him drafted and mocked to, and you think it's the perfect fit for both sides. What's your favorite one that you've seen?
Right now, I think for player and team, the Eagles need corners, and my favorite corner in this draft is Quinion Mitchell out of Toledo. So I did say, I cannot remember who it was. It might have been Eric Edholm of NFL.com, who had one of his mocks with Mitchell going to Philadelphia. But, we've talked about the Eagles a little bit at length this offseason in terms of what was, went into their collapse this past season. And a lot of it was defensively.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.